And now you know how my day is going. So happy Thursday. Good evening. Thank you for waiting. This is actual news. And we're going to revisit everything that did happen today. Up front, I'm going to say it's not a busy news day. It's sort of very slow. So this will be about an hour, maybe even less. We will be focusing, of course, on the situation in the Middle East. It's about to something about to happen. We're going to talk about Ukraine. We're going to talk about North Korea. We're going to talk about the, well, US meeting with South Korea, reporting on North Korea, which was kind of like out of blue. And not very informative. So we're going to review the videos of actual things that are happening there at the front. We're going to talk about new endorsements, review some new ads for Kamala Harris for the Harris Walz campaign. Some big news were announced that celebrities are jumping on board. So there's a wonderful ad with narrated by Julia Roberts that sort of really made MAGAville run circles this morning. So we're going to finish off with that ad as something for the soul because it's very humorous and wonderfully done. Cardi B is going to be joining Kamala Harris at the rally this weekend. So a lot of things are happening. So we're going to catch up on that. And first things first, volume. Yes, did happen already. Hey, Daniel. First things first, let's watch the video of the day. And the video of the day is our own very wonderful Terry Mills. She asked me to repost this video, but I want to share it with you. She is headlining Nurses for Harris. She recorded a video encouraging everybody to vote for Harris. And so I want to show you the video because it's so wonderfully done and Terry is just amazing. So take a look.
Hi, I'm Terry Mills. I'm a registered nurse from Oregon. Please join me on November 5th in voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz for president and vice president. They will advocate for policies that not only serve the families that we take care of, but the families we love. Thank you.
So wonderfully done. Thank you, Terry, for sharing it with us. And I reposted it. So if you can repost it, this would be wonderful. Because Terry is knocking on doors. She's talking to everybody. And so it's very important. Okay. So, but first and foremost, also happy Halloween for everybody who's celebrating. I just returned from, the streets of New York that kind of look like this these days. This is literally from just now. Take a look. So Thriller is certainly a tradition. Every year there's a Halloween parade and Thriller. Everybody learns the routine and they're doing such diligent work preparing for it. It's always a wonderful sight to see. Somebody asked me if I'm a pumpkin. I said better than a Trumpkin. Well, you put your face orange, you call yourself a Trumpkin. That could be something. Anyway, just wearing an orange sweater. Anyway. So also happy Diwali to everybody who is celebrating. This is a wonderful holiday of light. Kamala Harris's residence, VP's residence, has been lit in different colors. She encouraged us to see the light in ourselves, in those near us, and also in our future. So such a beautiful sight to see. But also Secretary Blinken, he wrote something wonderful. He says, "I wish a happy Diwali to the more than 1 billion Hindus, Sikhs, and Jains, and Buddhists, among others, who are celebrating the Festival of Lights. For many, the Diwali season represents the victory of light over darkness and the triumph of good over evil. May this be the headline for next Tuesday. It serves a reminder of the ability of each and every one of us to bring more light into our communities. We celebrate alongside families and friends all around the world, including millions of people here in the United States, who are gathering together, sharing sweets, decorating homes, and lighting dayas. Reflecting on the strength and diversity brings our nation, we also take the reflecting on the strength that diversity brings our nation, we also take the occasion to reiterate the importance of freedom of religion or belief for all people everywhere. So tomorrow, Secretary Blinken is hosting a reception at the State Department. Also, Deputy Secretary is of Indian descent, so they're going to have a wonderful time there. So also, of course, our Vice President Harris wished everybody happy Diwali. Happy Diwali! Beautiful, such a beautiful holiday. Also, VP stopped for a quick gaggle with the press this morning. It was at a hotel, and she answered a couple of questions, and most of those questions were referring to Trump's comments as to he will take care of women regardless whether women want it or not. I don't want to play that clip because you've seen it, and I don't want to give that, any more air than it already got. Media is doing the best to highlight Trump above all. I'm sick of it. Anyway, do I believe it's going to get less after the election? No, I believe it's going to get more. So I think I'll do it justice and not really report it much unless it's really valid and something is new, as I always say. Then certainly, of course, I will. He is a candidate. Now, when it comes to the gaggle, and the comment that Trump did, it reminded me on Putin. Before Putin, and you perhaps don't know it, but I know it because I watched Ukrainian channels and my parents were in Ukraine. And so, of course, we were monitoring what Putin was saying. And so when everybody was saying, oh, nothing will happen, he's bluffing again, while VP Harris and CIA and US, and why I'm saying VP Harris, because she was the one who was the last who traveled to Kiev to warn Zelensky that invasion is imminent. And he said, he always says that, doesn't do anything. And Putin was live on television and he said, and it makes no sense when I translate it, but in Russian it rhymes. He said, to the notion as to don't fight it, woman, just relax and enjoy. Certainly he's referring to grape, not to be banned on those platforms here. And this is the Trump's comment as to we're going to take care of you whether you want it or not, really reminded me on that saying. I'm like, what do you mean? That's exactly that, right? Where you want to control a woman and somehow you know what's better for this woman and she needs to have no involvement into decision making, just relax and enjoy. So here's VP Harris at the gaggle. Let's take a look.
The other point I will refer to about in the last many hours is the speaker's comments about the Affordable Care Act. Look, I've been saying throughout this campaign, be very clear that among the stakes in this election are whether we continue with the Affordable Care Act or not. It has been a part of Donald Trump's agenda for a very long time. He has made dozens of attempts to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And now we have further validation of that agenda from his supporter, the Speaker of the House. And what that would mean for the American people is that insurance companies could go back to a time when they would deny you coverage for health insurance based on pre-existing conditions such as you being a survivor of breast cancer, asthma, diabetes. And what I know is that the American people, regardless of who they're voting for, know the importance of the Affordable Care Act, as it is also called Obamacare, in terms of expanding people's coverage to health care based on a fundamental principle that I hold deeply. Access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it.
Absolutely. And Yash, thank you for commenting. I think it's your first time commenting. Thank you. By the way, feel welcome to add your voice to the conversation, ask questions, comment. I always love it. Makes me feel less than like I'm in front of people, not just in front of a screen. So love it. Thank you so much for being part of it. Now, the part where she commented on Donald Trump's comment on women, during her remarks, VP Harris responded to former President Trump's recent statements about women, which she described as dismissive of women's rights and autonomy. She condemned his longstanding positions on reproductive rights, pointing out that his policies had led to restrictive abortion laws affecting 1 in 3 women in certain states. Harris asserted that Trump's approach consistently undermined women's agency and that her campaign was committed to defending these rights. Then there was a question from media, which I totally didn't understand, where I didn't understand the notion behind it. The question was as to, do you think that his comments are appealing to his masculine fans? I don't think any real man, and it doesn't matter how many muscles you have, any real man with dignity and strength and compassion and, many ethical values, any man supports this notion or in fact supports Donald Trump. Only those who don't have an identity, who feel very empty inside and out, they're seeking dependence and they're finding this unity in this cult that the MAGA sort of facilitates. Now we have all identity. We're wearing the cappies. We're buying the shoesies. We're buying the watches. We're buying this. So we belong to something what we alone do not represent. So he installs those values to them. And I don't think this has anything to do with masculinity or femininity or any humanity in a way. It's just disgusting, to put it this way. So for that reason, let's review some ads that are new. And so one ad that I want to show you, it's called Lists, where Kamala Harris says that I will have a list of things to-do list, and he will come with a list of enemies that he wants to hurt who are not supporting him. Take a look.
Next January, one of us will be president. If it's Donald Trump, he will wake up every day and stew over his enemies list. That will help no one. If I am president, I'll be focused on my to-do list for you, the American people. I'll cut costs by cracking down on corporate price gouging, make housing more affordable, lower taxes for middle-class families, and protect Social Security. I will focus on getting things done. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message. Let's get to work.
Ta-da! Speaking of men, and I absolutely agree. Those are not real men. Those are who, try to be above. Right, exactly. And and I mentioned that yesterday in my rant, right? If you as a man feel that you need to take women or anybody by force, they need to commit to you because you are so, by nature, you can't gather groups around you. You can't be entertaining. You can't be powerful in a way that it will be very attractive to women and men, whatever you're interested in. You not command attention with your intelligence, appearance, the way you portray yourself. Or the way you behave, that you need to by force demand that people are with you. You need to buy people's attention. You need to force people to be with you. Then you're a weak man. And this gathering of weak males, that is the problem. It's the problem in our politics. It's the problem in our work. Think about your boss who has to command people around just to feel like he has a pair of balls because he can't find them. Think about your dating life if that ever perhaps, you encountered somebody who's a weak male. It is a problem. They can't handle women, period. And they always will call women too loud, to this, to that. There's always too, and then follow some adjective. The problem is always somebody else and not them. And this weak man are Trump and Putin and Kim Jong-un and Xi and all of these weak males who have to force others to respect them. If you have to force somebody to call you a boss, you have nothing to do with being a boss. You're ahead of the system. I worked for UN when Gaddafi was taken by his own people. I was sitting in Security Council for more than 20 hours. We watched the live streamed video of everything that was done to him. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the objects that were stuck inside him and all the places you wouldn't even imagine. When his dead body was dragged through the streets and people were, celebrating. Those were people who would bend over for him because by force he was above them. Once your iron fist is not so iron or not so tight, they take over you and they do to you what you would have never even imagined to do to them. They'll do it. I watched it. It always ends this way. The best case scenario is Hitler's situation where he allegedly knocked himself out. There are also rumors that USSR kind of like sent him to a compound in Colombia. There's photos on that. Maybe it's conspiracy. Let's not talk about it. We weren't there. But if that's true, that's the easiest way out. But usually the dictators ending one way, and it's not pretty. And that's weak males. Now, I know you mentioned the Julia Roberts ad. I'll show it at the very end. Sam Elliott narrated, of course, the actor Sam Elliott narrated a wonderful ad for Harris that's called "It's Time to Vote for a Woman." Take a look.
I can't believe we're having this conversation again. So here we go. You know who the candidates are. You know what's at stake. One candidate promises a divided America filled with lies and hate, and one stands for change. Kamala Harris has more courage, more honor, more guts than this guy ever had. So you decide, are we really going back down that same fucking broken road, or are we moving forward towards hope, towards freedom, towards change?
We know a strong middle class has always been critical to America's success.
There's promise that lies in change, and the time for change is now. So what the hell are you waiting for? Because if it's the woman thing, it's time to get over that. It's time for hope, for change. It's time to be a man and vote for a woman.
That here gave me chills. It's time to be a man and vote for a woman. That's the headline. If media were real, I mean mainstream media, that would be the headline. Today and every day, honestly. I like this from New Yorker magazine. He tells it like it is. I'm going to eat you. Exactly. He also tells this bullshit. He's building freedom cities. President Trump will work to open up the American frontier, holding a contest to charter new cities where families and individuals can have a new shot at the American dream. And they're pumping it up all over the Twitter shitter. I really want to recommend you a newsletter, which is free, by a wonderful journalist who has covered Peter Thiel and company for years. He was living and covering every single day in and out Silicon Valley guys. He talks about their drug use. He talks about what they're talking about. And Peter Thiel has had this idea of building those techno cities. Those are cities that are sort of virtually controlled and so on and so forth. It's very sick. I will recommend his newsletter in my newsletter, but also comment on this video so you can check it out. It's free and I hope you can read it. By the way, if you're not part of my newsletter, please get it. It's Actual News. I changed the name even. It's called Actual News. Honest.substack.com. You'll get actual news. Join it for free if you decide to support. I'm very grateful for you. But please, please consume actual news. It's very, very important. Now, speaking of actual man, LeBron James came through just now, a couple of hours ago. He posted a video and then he says, what are we even talking about here? When I think about my kids and my family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. Vote Kamala Harris. Good. Good. Some rumors were circling that Cardi B, is appearing with Harris on Saturday, and they said maybe Swift on Monday. I think it's more wishful thinking, but if that happens, that would be wonderful. But I want us today to focus on the VP choices, because especially with Trump and his Amendment 25 tendencies not being fully here, God forbid, this troop is chosen. J.D. Vance is 5 minutes before presidency. And certainly that is the goal, I guess, by those Silicon Valley bros. Americans may or may not want Harris, but the free world needs Harris more than ever before things turn from bad to worse. Amen to that. Yes. Good name change. Yeah, everything is now honest. Actual News by Honest Network. Anyway, so I want to focus on VP choices. And when you watch these two videos, longer videos from Tim Walz today, and 4 shorter videos from J.D. Vance today, Joe Rogan, I called it the tale of 2 vice president candidates in the newsletter, but honestly, the difference is like day and night, and I have nothing against the night, but this is like crazy. So anyway, first video of VP candidate, of course, Governor Walz, where he spoke about Trump's comments last night. I'm going to do whether, take care of women, whether they like it or not, what we, have spoken about today. So take a look what he says.
Donald Trump appointed those Supreme Court justices who lied about supporting Roe versus Wade and the protection of bodily sovereignty, who went on to overturn Roe versus Wade. And Donald Trump says he's glad he did it. I'm proud of that. What he's bragging about is those women you're thinking about right now have fewer rights than their mothers or their grandmothers had. That's what he did. Now, 20 states have the Trump abortion ban. Last night, Donald Trump said that if you're a woman, he'll be your protector. And he also said this. Imagine that this was a moment of self-reflection for him. He says, I know a lot of people don't like that. Oh, no shit, they don't like it. But here's the scary part, people, because there's no excuse for not hearing this, because he said it. He said, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. That's how this guy's lived his life. That's why he was on the Access Hollywood tape, and that's why he ended up in court, because that's what he thinks about it. Women turned away now because of what he's doing from emergency rooms to get basic care, having miscarriages in parking lots, survivors of rape and incest being forced to carry their attacker's child. Those are the types of things. Fertility clinics have even turned couples away. I said this is personally on this idea that there would be no autonomy for you to make decisions about your body. Now you can't even decide if you want to have a family. For Gwen and I, we went through fertility treatment for years. If you've been through this, it's hellish to try and do it. You know somebody who has. The idea, we finally able to have that beautiful little girl. How in God's name are we willing to let some politician tell, I'll be damned if I'll let them tell anybody in this country if they can have a child. So look.
Hey, Terry, were you here from the very beginning? Your video was the video of the day. So go back, watch it if you want to. I was very proud to show it to everybody. This is Terry. Follow Terry, please. I just spoke about her in the beginning. So in the next video, he talks about what I showed you yesterday, what I talked about extensively in the newsletter. I hope you read it. When I write something before we begin and it's in cursive, that means I got to say something. And there was the video from Mike Johnson. It's a leaked video where he said, oh, we're going to blow torch the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. No more Obamacare, no more this, because we have to be fast, because Trump just has 4 years, blah, blah, blah. So that's what Tim Walz says about it.
The Speaker of the House said they're going to go after Obamacare and change that if Trump's elected. All right. We know that they're going to try and get rid of it because we know they've done it before. And what that means to you is what Obamacare did, amongst all others, it changed the whole mechanism that put you in charge of your health care. That meant insurance companies couldn't kick you off for a pre-existing condition, and they had to pay it. Trump ran on it. They tried 60 times to overturn it. The last one, the only reason we still have it is one vote in the Senate when John McCain walked in there with courage and said no.
Yeah. Now, are you ready for J.D. Vance? Because today we're focusing on the VPs. He was on Joe Rogan. By the way, Joe Rogan put a whole statement that he wanted to interview Kamala Harris, but on his terms. Because the fella doesn't know that this woman is booked and busy. She's kind of the sitting VP running for president 3 days away before the election. So, honey, or 4 or 5 days away. He wanted it in Austin, and he wanted to be 3 hours. She gave him 1 hour, and please come to me wherever I'm stopping on my, campaign tour. But he didn't want to have that. So instead, he has J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance has all the time on his hands because he's J.D. Vance. Let's put it this way. So Joe Rogan tried to speak sense into him. I have to give him, due justice. He tried. Well, it's like with J.D. Vance, it's, like you want to dive, assuming it's a river or it's a swimming pool, and then you dive, head in, and it's a puddle, and you're like, break your neck every single time. There is no depth. There is no nothing. There's just whatever he learned, to present in his sleeky way. That's it. So J.D. Vance joined Joe Rogan on his podcast, and Rogan said, in some states, those have extreme laws that put women in vulnerable positions. And if they go to another state, they could then be prosecuted. It's concerning. So this is what JD's answer was. And the question.
One of the issues is that men are making decisions for what women can and can't do.
I hear that.
And one of the more concerning aspects of this is, like, say if you live in a state like Texas where there's a limit to when you can get an abortion. I think it's like 6 weeks, which a lot of people think at that point in time you can't even tell whether or not you're pregnant, and this puts a lot of women in like very vulnerable positions. And then there's this thought that they could go to another state where it is legal and have an abortion, but they could be possibly prosecuted for that in their state. That's concerning to me, that we can make, if there's a place in the country where it's legal to have a medical procedure and you live in a state where it's not legal, that your state can decide what you can and can't do with your body, which is essentially based on a religious idea. And a lot of I'm not criticizing it one way or another, but I'm saying that a lot of what this choose life thing is about, that life is precious and life is sacred and life begins at the moment of conception. And some people agree with this, but other people disagree with this. And it seems to be a lot of it is based in religion. My concern is using that to dictate whether or not a person can legally travel to another state. I don't think the government should be monitoring where you travel or what you do when you travel, as long as that thing is legal. And I'm concerned with this idea that you could be prosecuted for it in your state for doing something that's legal somewhere else.
I don't like the idea, to be clear. I've not heard of this maybe as like a possibility, but not as something that actually exists in the law. But I've not heard of somebody being arrested, and I don't like the idea of arresting people for moving about the country. I haven't heard of them doing
it either. I've heard of the discussion.
I've heard it as a threat.
Yes.
Terry, who's a nurse, says they could die just traveling. What's wrong with these people? Do they not understand pain, bleeding, anxiety? No. 3-hour interviews are ridiculous because it's so freewheeling, and there is nothing Rogan really does to sustain interest. Yeah, well, he's brain dead. I mean, come on. Exactly, Terry. Exactly. this guy is just like, anyway, let's go further. Rogan says, let's talk about Roe v. Wade. I'm not going to give it away. Take a look.
Like the concept in the zeitgeist is that abortion had always been, Roe v. Wade had always been the law of the land, and then all of a sudden that was taken away, and you have these religious men who are trying to dictate what women can and can't do with their bodies.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, again, I understand that. I understand the pushback against that, but I think you can go, like with so many other issues, you can go way too far about it, and it becomes trying to celebrate something that at the very best, if you grant, I think, every argument of the pro-choice side, it is a neutral thing, not something to be celebrated.
I think there's very few people that are celebrating that.
Women are celebrating Roe v. Wade? I don't recall myself celebrating, or anybody really. Hey, I have reproductive rights. I can decide what I can do with my body. Yay! No, people will be celebrating when your dumbass is not elected. Yeah, we will be celebrating because something we never cared to even think about it because it was normal. We used to deciding what we kind of want to do. Now we will be celebrating. Because you're dumb. You're with no hope of getting less dumb. Your ears are closed. Your eyes are closed. Your heart is not existent. Your soul is just looking for a way out. I don't know what the hell is going on with this people. This is ridiculous. It's somebody who wears eyeliner and has allegedly 2 children, but doesn't care about neither the mom nor the children. By the way, where is his wife? Why isn't he saying Happy Diwali and she is Indian, right? Maybe she should just, no? She's not allowed to join because she's what? Not white enough? Just took the eyeliner and leave? Disgusting. Just disgusting. I have no other words. I'm sorry. I've been covering this election. I'm trying to be nice. I'm running out of niceness. And honestly, I'm running out of apps to give because it's real. We're 3 days into this. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days? And then that's it. If we don't say what's real now, when? Anyway, then he talked about getting a normal gay vote. What the hell is normal gay? What is abnormal gay? Anyway, watch it.
And I think that, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if me and Trump won just the normal gay guy vote.
Oh,
because,
sure.
Again, they just wanted to be left the hell alone, and now you have all this crazy stuff on top of it.
Oh, for our sake. What is abnormal gay vote? And it's only guys? There's no girls? I can't do this with these people. This is ridiculous. God, Jesus. We've been running out of niceness since July. Exactly. Zero emotional intelligence. Absolutely. Wow, did Rogan got a brain cell in that clip? Exactly. I saw, I literally see brain cells moving in Rogan's head. He's like, I'm starting to realize that this is all happening and I don't like it. The GOP freaks are exhausting. Exactly. Cooper was pissed and ran in CNN during the show. Really? I haven't seen it. Please sign up for a phone bank or a canvas to get out the vote, or call 3-5 friends, neighbors, and get them to the polls. It really is crunch time. Absolutely. Yes, Terry. Yes. We've heard about normal guy gays. Anyway, I'm sorry for even talking like this. Van Vance talked about consequences for women who will not be following the orders.
Positions of power.
Do you think it's because they're worried that if he gets into power and he gets back in the office, that he's going to start investigating a lot of this stuff, and the 51 former intelligence agents?
That's exactly what they're afraid of. Yeah. They're afraid of consequences. They're afraid of, and look.
Sorry, not women, everybody. There will be consequences for everybody. And they're proudly saying it. They're not hiding it anymore. They're running out of time too, because they have to tell the KKK that I'm with you, honey. I was really polite, but listen, 4 days in, come on in. They're good people on both sides. And they're normal gays and abnormal, and it's just ridiculously disgusting. Anyway, before we throw up, let's move on to President Biden about the yeah. Anyway, don't trust what they say. They hate LGBTQ community from the core. Exactly. That's my point. You know what it made me, Yash, what it made me think of is that somebody like this Haba Baba lawyer or somebody who's wise said, listen, mention gay people because that's like outreach, you know. That's what it feels like. It's just disgusting. Anyway, less disgusting. Let's talk about the statement from President Biden. He talked about September 2024 PCE. So inflation has now fallen to 2.1%, nearly at its 2% target. I'm not going to show you, but JD Vance sent an email to press this morning stating that the inflation hit all the way high, 22.1%. This guy just added a 2. And his following bought it. The largest, the biggest inflation ever was 9.9. And that's Carter. Anyway, while critics said we needed a recession, I'm quoting President Biden, to lower inflation, instead, inflation has come down while our economy has grown more than 12% over the course of my administration, the fastest rate of any presidential term in the 21st century. Incomes are up almost $4,000 after accounting for inflation, and gas prices are down to $3.13 per gallon and below $3 in 21 states. That's why we don't hear MAGAville complaining about gas, right? It's all about the border. It's all about all that. Before, the gas was an issue. Now they're just silent. We have more to do, says President Biden. We will keep fighting to lower costs by building millions of new homes, lowering health insurance premiums, and making childcare more affordable. Congressional Republicans are fighting for tax breaks for billionaires and big corporations while raising costs on families by nearly $4,000 a year with across-the-board tariffs that would cause inflation to skyrocket. They have a cost-raising agenda. We have a cost-cutting agenda. Ta-ta. Now let's talk about Ukraine, and we're diving into more international thing, which also involves Blinken and Secretary Austin. So it's all kind of like mixed. Now it's our international part, if you will. In Ukraine, Russians started using new type of missiles, which are very, very unfortunate for those that those be implemented on. Drones guaranteed to kill everything living in a closed space. Russia has begun using the thermobaric rocket aircraft, Shahedi, over Ukraine. So it's a drone, but it's now carrying a different type of bomb, if you will, or missile. What you should know about them, the thermobaric combat unit will not immediately destroy all the walls, but the oxygen inside the premises will burn out. There's almost no chance of survival. So when this thing hits a building, it burns the oxygen. So it reacts with oxygen. So for that reason this charge creates an explosion wave that severely destroys buildings and destroys human lungs. So I don't want to be graphic, nor will show you anything, but when this is implemented, they have done it before in the beginning of the war. You will find people who are unalived, but they look very normal. If you touch them, they explode, type of thing. Anyway, so they started implementing it. That's a clean video of bombs exploding. It also looks, when it's in the dark, it looks like a rain. It looks very beautiful, but it's nothing beautiful. So this video showed an example of how thermobaric projectiles explode. These are launches from the Russian Solntsepak over open terrain. Now imagine what would happen if that would hit a person. Now, Zelensky gave another press conference yesterday. I played a video where he said that only 10% of allocated aid has arrived. Let's revisit.
If you've got 10% from all the package been even voted already, you know, it's not funny, but it's
So he refers to that Ukraine only got 10% of all the aid allocated by U.S. Congress that physically did arrive in Ukraine. Hence, they're asking for more and more possibilities. So today he gave another conference where he talked about talking to Poland, asking for MiGs. MiG is a missile of long range that Ukraine wanted to have in case of self-defense, right? In case of things like now with North Korea, in case of this weird thermobaric bombs, they wanted to have it. They requested it from Poland. And so he describes why Ukraine didn't get it, nor will.
Ми дуже хотіли отримати міги від Польщі, міги, але вони нам не могли передати ці міги, тому що у них не вистачало своїх. Тому ми домовились з НАТО, що вони їм виділять поліцейську місію. Тобто, як у країн у наших балтійських друзів. У них немає своїх літаків, у них є така місія, яка захищає їх небо. Ми домовились про це. І що після цього? Чи передала нам Польща літаки? Ні. Знайшла інша причина? Знайшлась. Так.
I hope you could read the English subtitles. So essentially, Poland didn't have it, but there was a program that Poland receives this from NATO. They requested it. Poland said yes. Ultimately, they found another reason not to follow up. Then, we've heard for the past 2-3 days that South Korea wants to send missiles, intelligence, troops to Ukraine because in their self-interest, just think about it. Wouldn't it be nice to knock out North Koreans, also figure out how prepared are they or unprepared on Ukraine's territory instead of on their own, right? And so South Korea wants to help Ukraine. Now, South Koreans, Minister of Defense and Secretary of Foreign Affairs, so the equivalent of Blinken and Austin, came to Washington, D.C. this morning. They talked to U.S. My fear is that U.S. asked them not to interfere. This is my personal fear. We'll see what's true. Now, North Korea started testing missiles yesterday. This was a sign as to don't go there, South Korea, don't overstep. I have a readout on that as well. But before we even go there, this morning there was a press conference with Secretary Blinken and Austin and their counterparts from North Korea. Everybody said essentially the same thing. Listen to Blinken, and then we dive deeper into that.
We now assess that there are some 10,000 North Korean soldiers in total in Russia. And the most recent information indicates that as many as 8,000 of those North Korean forces have been deployed to the Kursk region. We've not yet seen these troops deploy into combat against Ukrainian forces, but we would expect that to happen in the coming days. Russia has been training DPRK soldiers in artillery, UAVs, basic infantry operations, including trench clearing, indicating that they fully intend to use these forces in frontline operations. Should these troops engage in combat or combat support operations against Ukraine, they would become legitimate military targets. Now, one of the reasons that Russia is turning to these North Korean troops is that it's desperate.
Standing there in Benjamin Franklin room. I don't know when this speech was written, but North Koreans are already not just participating in direct combat, they're dying there. So now, this video of one North Korean soldier out of 40 who did survive the combat. He is describing it in detail, what happened to him. He's speaking Korean. The subtitles that are quite big are in English. Now, he looks like he just survived the battle. So if you can't stomach something, turn away. I I can read it out for you, but let's look at it. Please read the subtitles, what he tells, because he literally describes what exactly happened, how Russians sent them, how his buddies died, and what his message is to Russia. Take a look.
그래서 저는 저희가 방어 시설들만 구축하는 할 것이고 실제로 전체는 창립하지 않을 것을 거절했습니다. 하지만 저희가 끌 교수와서 무작정 공격전에 참가하도록 강요했습니다. 이 러시아 얘기들은 공격전에 아무런 정찰도 하지 않고 저에게 항상 무기도 주지 않습니다. 제프가 공격을 시도하자 우크라이나 군이 강한 화살과 저는 당했습니다. 우리 제 인간이 40명이었는데 제 친구들인 흑철과 경영을 비롯해서 모두 전사했습니다. 흑철에는 한편에 머리가 잘렸고 저는 전사들 시체 밑에서 살아남을 수 있었습니다. 제 할아버지로서 저희가 많은 이야기들을 들었으나 이 존재는 실화가 같습니다. 솔직히 제가 해가 약하기 때문에 저희 자녀들이 이 기술을 이용되어 모두 희생된 것입니다. 크루스크는 진 러시아 땅의 아버입니다. 우크라이나 군대는 70년 둘러보장됐고 강한 유력을 가지고 있습니다. 반면에 러시아 군대는 너무나 많은 부위들을 잃었고 저희와 같은 병사들을 공격선에 내전이 있는 상태입니다. 제 눈으로 산자들처럼 쌓여있는 러시아 병사들의 시체들과 확인된 땅과 상하차들을 보았습니다. 홀치는 이 전쟁에 패할 겁니다.
So I hope Secretary Blinken and Secretary Austin do pay attention to what actually does happen. You read it for yourself. This guy was discovered by Ukrainian army because, as he mentioned, he was hiding under the corpses of his friends. They pulled him out and they took him to the hospital, and so he speaks. Now, what will be NATO's response now? Who knows? Will there be response? And Keith, to your point that, yes, I mean, we trust that Biden knows diplomacy. There's a question here. Same as with Hamas, right? Blinken stated today that they hope for a second round of negotiations about the hostages. Are they alive? Are they not? Who knows? Let's hope and pray. But the problem with this here is that U.S. Can certainly knock out Russia's behind out of Ukraine like this in a matter of time. The problem is that Putin is building a coalition with China. China gets land from Russia, which is a fact. China gave up land 3 times Taiwan to India, as I reported to you yesterday. So it's a coalition that is building together. Now in Europe, Germany has the strongest army. Germany, today, it was a federal briefing that I watched, and there was a question asked to Scholz's team stating, will the fact that North Koreans are now fighting on Russia's behalf in Ukraine or against Ukrainians, will that change your stance on the war in Ukraine, on allowing Ukraine to strike inside Russia and prevent attacks? And he said, absolutely not. So Germany has no balls. France promises a lot, has no balls. Poland says, well, if they're standing by our door, we're going to knock them out. So everybody is sort of like holding on to their own equipment and military thing because everybody relies on, the France and Germany and US. So the smaller countries, they don't want to go into the battle because the bigger ones are, just standing there and trying to do a dance. So for that reason, even if Biden wanted to, others are dragging him back. Now, if he would step all the way in, France and Germany are not stepping in. Kamala Harris is elected. She's facing a brutal war alone with Britain. Britain is all the way in. So for that reason, there's particles. And so we have to see. Now, as soon as US is involved in a war, let's say in Europe, next thing, Indo-Pacific is going to blow up because this coalition with China, possibly India, and all that kind of stuff, they will start, or China will go into Taiwan, and now Indonesia, Thailand joined BRICS union and all that kind of stuff. So we're building a coalition in Indo-Pacific, which is strong with New Zealand, with Japan, with Australia, but there's another coalition too. So if we were to be involved in one side of the war, whether it's Middle East or Europe, Indo-Pacific is going to have an issue and we will be stretched out, which is what Xi is counting upon. So that's the balance here, the little dance. So blaming completely Biden, no. Can he do more? Yes. Will he? Big question. So, and of course, if Trump wins, then, for a chance to build a Mar-a-Lago in Moscow and a promise to build Mar-a-Lago in Moscow and in Crimea and everywhere, he's going to sell it out for $1. So for that reason, we're in this limbo. I don't think it will move him much. Oh, you guys are discussing something. Okay. So let's continue. Now, North Korean kids were compared today dancing to Trump rally. And I never thought about it this way, but it's pretty vivid. Take a look.
Enemies of freedom, face the music. Come on, boys, take them down. President Donald Trump knows how to make America great. Deal from strength or get crushed every time.
This is sick. Very sick. Now, joint statement by US, Japan, and South Korea condemns North Korean ICBM launch and military cooperation with Russia. In a united stance against North Korea's latest provocative actions, United States, Japan, and Republic of Korea issued a joint statement condemning the Democratic People's Republic of Korea for its launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile on October 31st. The launch, which took place following North Korea's announcement that it now officially considers ROK a hostile state. North Korea considers South Korea a hostile state, was denounced as a flagrant violation of multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions. The statement, released following a call among U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, Japanese Foreign Minister, and ROK Foreign Minister, emphasized the nation's shared commitment to denuclearization of Korean Peninsula and stressed the importance of renewed diplomatic dialogue. The three leaders reiterated their support for a peaceful, unified Korean Peninsula and strongly urged North Korea to end its ongoing actions that stabilize regional peace. Now, the statement also addressed the recent deployment of North Korean troops to Russia. As military cooperation between North Korea and Russia deepens, the three allies condemned these transfers. Not condemning? Big words, no actions. What are we condemning here? The United States emphasized that its defense commitments to Japan and South Korea remain ironclad and supported by a full range of capabilities, including nuclear options if necessary. United States emphasized the commitment to Japan and South Korea remain ironclad, supported by full range of capabilities, including nukes. The three countries committed to further enhancing trilateral security measures, aiming to more effectively deter and respond to North Korea's expanding nuclear and missile capabilities. Now, what we need to know that in China Sea, China has been building billions worth of billions of dollars military bases on the islands all around. So that is Japan's and certainly everybody in the area problem. So they need to rely on US. We're building some military bases too. So that has been happening in the past 3 years. And certainly China is watching what's being done with Ukraine on US behalf, which gives them a preview what will be with Taiwan. Certainly Israel, same story. And Israel is not ending the war, it's expanding it. So speaking of Israel, Secretary of Defense Austin spoke today with Israeli Minister Gallant to discuss opportunities for regional de-escalation. Secretary Austin reaffirmed that the United States remains fully prepared to defend U.S. personnel, Israel, and partners across the region against threats from Iran and Iranian-backed proxy groups. The secretary reiterated U.S. commitment to a diplomatic arrangement in Lebanon that allows both Lebanese and Israeli civilians to return safely to their homes and both sides of the border. He also reviewed steps Israel is taking and should continue to advance to improve the dire humanitarian conditions in Gaza and prospects for a hostage release and ceasefire deal. This type of statements were, if you pay attention, were usually released before Iran would do something. The talk of the town, again, is that Israel wants to target military bases in Iran. Iraq is considered too, and then Iran would be responding. This is the talk of the town. If you just listen to Pentagon and State Department, they say, and President Biden, they say, we hope it's over. So let's see. Now, Secretary of the Treasury Yellen, just a few hours ago, she issued a statement saying the United States has been clear that economic stability in the West Bank is essential for Israeli and Palestinian security, and that the ability to conduct transactions in shekels smoothly and efficiently is a key pillar underpinning this economic stability. Today, the government of Israel approved a 30-day extension of its indemnification of Israeli banks, allowing them to continue correspondent banking relationships with Palestinian counterparts. Unfortunately, the very short-term duration of this extension creates another looming crisis by November 30th, exacerbating uncertainty for international banks, Israeli companies operating in the West Bank, and most importantly, for ordinary Palestinians who bear the greatest brunt of such uncertainty. Cutting off these banks' ties would create significant economic turmoil in West Bank, threatening the security of Israel and broader region. Our deep concern is shared by G7 and many of our closest allies. So, any questions, complaints, concerns? You guys still discussing? If Trump wins, a lot of innocent lives would be on stake from Ukraine to South Korea. Exactly. Yes. Thank you for seeing that the way it's supposed to be seen. Yes, that's true. Now, yesterday I showed you a clip and featured a report by independent Chinese, I guess, or Chinese American journalist who spoke about China giving up land, a big chunk of land, to India. So to recap, when the BRICS meeting happened, Putin facilitated a meeting between Indians Modi and Chinese Xi. They said that they issued an agreement over the border issue. Now, what it came to be is that China gave up a big chunk of territory. Let me exactly read it out so I don't make it up. That's from yesterday. The CCP's People's Liberation Army withdrew from Ladakh region. All outposts and fortifications were dismantled, all supplies and equipment removed. This land is now entirely under Indian jurisdiction. India has already announced the establishment of the Ladakh Union Territory. This area is roughly equivalent to 3 Taiwans, 40 Hong Kongs, totaling 90,000 square kilometers. Certainly in China, nothing was announced, nor it will be, because they're in complete propaganda, disinformation, so nobody in China will talk about it. Now, think about it. Why would Xi do that? Is to build a coalition. If China goes against Taiwan, they need support. So why Biden was hosting Modi literally at his home in Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware. He was, also going to Scranton with him, showing his high school and everything and all this kind of stuff. Very close relationship. They were hugging and all that. Then Modi flew to Moscow and was hugging Putin before and after Biden's meeting. But China needs partners. And so with this, they're trying to literally buy India's partnership. Now, with this in mind, listen to this. U.S. and India national security advisors discussed today a regional security bilateral cooperation. So now U.S. tries to intervene and give India more than what China did, or outcompete, right? National Security Advisor Sullivan spoke by phone with Indian National Security Advisor Doval. The two leaders discussed regional security developments, underscoring the need for continued efforts to ensure stability in the Indo-Pacific region and globally. So, in normal sense, he tries to speak sense into Modi, saying, look, all of that will screw everybody in the Indo-Pacific, so think twice. They welcomed progress in the bilateral partnership, including through the upcoming initiative on critical and emerging technology intersessional and Indian Ocean dialogue, meaning U.S. will invest in you, and this will be a long-term better for you. They also explored further opportunities for collaboration in key areas, including clean energy, supply chains, and defense cooperation, meaning we're going to even arm you. And we're going to put clean energy infrastructure into India. This is long-term way better than fighting with Chinese over Taiwan. Just explaining diplomacy. Modi's fascist, just like Trump. The free world needs to understand. Yeah, wow, it's all for sale. Wartime president isn't also how you want to start either, but could happen. Honestly, that's what I just had a meeting with somebody, and I said, listen, given my diplomatic background, what I see is that the next president will be a war president. The problem is it going to be a war, or is it going to be a takeover? So are we bending over, or are we standing up? That's the difference between those two. China giving up territory is unreal. It's more likely they want to invade Taiwan and need support. You just said what I said. We're connected. So, also on a good note, RSVP to our watch parties. On November 2nd, we're going to watch together Michelle Obama rallying for Kamala Harris. This is now, the time has been updated to 6 p.m. So it's between 5 and 8. I think if we join by 6, we're not missing her speech, nor anybody in between. So if we'll certainly get an update to exact timing of her speech. If it's around 7, I will update it and inform those who RSVP'd. In the newsletter, there's all how you can sign up, honest.substack.com. It's for subscribers. You don't have to pay. We just need to ensure we're like-minded people so we don't have any trolls. We had a situation once, it wasn't pretty. So please join through this method. And also another watch party is planned for the election night. And for the election night, the big news that were announced today, that the Harris-Walz campaign will host election night at VP's alma mater, Howard University. And so I will update you because I might report from there. So we will have a watch party where through the entire election day, we would be tuning in from Howard University, chit chat with everybody, make it live stream, also have chit chats on a personal level so you guys can talk freely so it's not public. So I will update you on this as soon as I hear on the options there. And so it would be wonderful because VP will be joining certainly that party. That's her HQ. So looking very much forward to that. The Las Vegas rally is going on right now, Harris and J-Lo. Yeah, J-Lo is already speaking. Harris is speaking at 12:15 a.m. our time, so 9:15 your time on the West Coast. Oh, that would be so great if you got to report from Howard, but regardless, we'll blast together. Absolutely, yeah. So it looks like a yes until I have a badge. I'm not promising, so we definitely have a watch party, definitely spending time together. It would be wonderful to interview folks there, and it's such a also historic spot. It's very, very well planned. I hope you get credentialed. I am. The problem is, I'm not going to reveal too much, but let's see. Hasn't spoken yet. Okay. So now we're going to go and watch J-Lo and Kamala Harris on her third rally today. Crazy. In terms of the party, I'm credentialed. My thing is what I can do there. So I want to make it entertaining for you guys. So I need to know that I can go live. I need to know I have a space. That's the thing. It has to be both sides interesting. So that's what I'm figuring out. If everything looks like it could be quality content, then yes. And I would love to be there. It has not much to do with credentials. More my vision. All right, to finish on a good note, let's watch this ad narrated by Julia Roberts that Drew Magaville crazy today, completely bonkers bananas, where they started saying, control your wife, this is a reason for divorce, blah, 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 blah. Watch it.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah.
And the punishment is real. Women denied care, unable to get pregnant again, traumatized.
That's a wrong ad. Let me upload the good ad. That's a very sad ad, I must say. Ask any questions meantime. I'll find a good one. I really want to watch it because it will calm us down. I have it. I know I have it. Where is it? Is it this one?
I can't believe we're having this conversation again.
It's not this one. It's been a long day. Anyway, any questions, concerns, complaints? Or do I let you go and play tomorrow? Maybe that's the way. Have you seen the American Girl ad by Seneca Project? Seneca? No. What is it? Since Biden called MAGA trash, all the MAGA today has been dressing up as trash. Yeah, and I don't get it, right? This is not even funny. This is just, he trashed his own supporters by being in this trash truck yesterday. And I totally don't understand this whole narrative of dressing as a trash person. Like, what is all about that? I'm just resending the ad again to myself because I want to see that damn ad. Now, this is an Aries in me. Okay, I have it. Give me a second. It's pulling up. Isn't this one?
And if I found out, Emma...
Oh, I have even a better one, too. So check out the 5 on Fox News. They have this program 5, I guess, or at 5 or whatever, how they complained about the ad. Meanwhile, I'm getting the ad.
And if I found out Emma was going into the voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair. That to me,
oh my God! Let him finish. Go, Jesse. It's our day.
That violates the sanctity of our marriage.
Preach on. Yes.
What else is she keeping from me?
Exactly.
What else has she been lying about?
Why would she lie to you? Have you threatened her? Why would she lie to you?
Oh, they want me to tease.
Why would she do that? And then
here's the ad.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose. You can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walz. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
That was so fun. I mean, thank you for waiting. Juggling a bit of with videos, but that's just gives me joy for some reason. Last place in America where you, where you have a choice and nobody watches you. Don't let him look over the shoulder. By the way, please also don't post your ballots. In New York, I couldn't even take a picture of the ballot, nor I tried, but you certainly can't showcase your ballots. Just to be on the safer side, don't post your ballots. Post the stickers and all that, or pans, whatever you get for the voting to show that you did vote. But let's just be less provocative in terms of legal consequences. Also, I have a question for you. And I'm trying to figure it out. And that was my conversation this evening. That in New York, for instance, you have for presidential election, because we had like we had 2 pages of 4 pages to fill out with propositions, all that stuff. Anyway, but for New York, it says Kamala Harris and Walz under Democrats and also under Workers' Party or Labor, whatever. And then you have Trump, Vance under Republicans and under conservatives. So if somebody marks, so what I've heard from people is that their thing was, their intention was to make it a double thing, to mark Harris twice. But it does count as a fraudulent ballot, right? Because you can't select 2 people. But if you mark, let's say, Harris by accident under Labor Party, will it still count to Harris, or will it take away from the Democratic vote? How does it work? That's what like the whole discussion was today, and I figured nobody knows. And people who are missing a pair, they try like, oh, I'm going to work double. I'm going to mark double Harris. So it's like 2 votes. It doesn't count like 2 votes. The ballot is not getting scanned at all. So anyway, let me know if you have any idea of this. No idea, Brandon. Yeah, no idea here either. I was standing there too. And my thing was like, wow, Labor Party? What? Call the elections division. That's really strange. Right, Terry? That is so weird because I was standing there figuring out like, why is there twice Trump and twice Harris? And why is she Labor? Like, what? I've never heard of that. Also, we have another candidate for Senate who was marked under Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, and Labor. So like 4 times, same name. So which party is this? Like, I'm going to play for whatever party chooses me in this political situation? Weird. Anyway, I'm going to give them a call tomorrow. That's really weird, right? And so today I spoke to folks and they're like, that's the question we were asking too. So we kind of voted for Democrats to be on the safe side, but that was hella weird. So yeah, New York ballot is confusing. It is confusing, yeah. And then the propositions, they did such a bad job even covering it. I had absolutely no idea. I had to Google half of it. I was like, oh, what's that? What's this? Yes. Oh, that sounds good. There's like things to protect, like equality, like establish a thing, like a different office that will oversee decisions in terms of employment, DEI pretty much, but like enforcing the rules than others to. Anyway, it's a bunch of propositions we never heard of. Mine here in Arizona is definitely not like that. See? So Harris is not running on the Labor Party there? So this is my question. Are we going by names or are we going by parties? Because we kind of go by parties because the party is nominating the candidate, right? It's weird. I'm going to call tomorrow and I'm going to update you because I'm really concerned that people will be marking Labor Party and then it takes a vote away. Yeah. So it's different. Okay, good. So I'm going to give them a call tomorrow and figure it out. All right. Get on the list. Get on your actual newsletter list, honest.substack.com. Like this, share this, please. There was a lady who commented boring yesterday. Thank you for commenting boring because I'm not clickbaity. So if you were bored, good. Main thing, you learned what actually happened today. You can get entertained with Trump and trashy stuff all over the mainstream media. So if you thought you will insult me, no, you don't. Also, a bunch of older ladies who are MAGA yesterday retweeted my post where I just read out loud a quote from Trump and said, "Get out. You just wish to be so smart as him." I didn't say he wasn't smart. I just read a quote. So you do realize anyway, but thank you for sharing, because sharing helps. Anyway, and I didn't want to be mean to them. I don't ever want to be mean, but also older ladies, like I was raised correctly, so I don't insult them. They just dimmed the lights at the Vegas rally. It looks like somebody's coming up. Okay, guys. All right. Let's call it a day. See you tomorrow. Definitely not at 9, not at 10, way earlier. Busy days are over. Tomorrow is good. I don't get it. There was a Olga rant. How did they find that stream boring? I don't know. I don't know. That's my point. Thank you, Keith. I said there, I was like, but I had a rant. I think like twice. Huh? Anyway. Okay. That's fine. Boring is good. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. Please follow, subscribe, whatever you need to do so we spread more information. I'll update you on the ballots and on the election party night and all that kind of stuff tomorrow. Okay? Have a good night. Thank you for being here.